Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Cassie and I. And before I start, I will say I'm traveling next week, so we won't be here next week. And this is just going to be looking at one person today. But I'm Louise Edington, Cosmic Owl Astrology. You can find me on the video on Kathy's channel, Professional Aquarian, too. I'm Cosmic Owl Astrology everywhere, YouTube, Facebook, some other social media, but I don't use them all much. And I am also, my website is louiseeddington.com. And I'm in deep preparation mode for my series Reborn Immersion, which is this weekend, 21st and 22nd. I'm doing slides. I've had all these amazing new downloads that I'm going to talk about in it. And Ceres is really involved in the chart we're going to look at today as well. So watch this space for that. And if you've been thinking about the immersion, come join us. Kathy.
Hey, I'm Kathy Biehl. My YouTube channel is Professional Aquarian, and I post my forecasts there for every week, month, new moon, full moon. They are also on my website, empowermentunlimited.net, where I have a downloadable free. I don't even harvest your email address because I'm that Pisces in my way of doing things, called Reclaiming Your Energy. It's in the shop. I really encourage people, if you haven't listened to it, it will give you really helpful techniques for getting your energy back from the insanity that is going on right now. Also, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, that has daily forecasts, and a group on Facebook, the Astro Insight Lounge, that discusses astrology down on the ground and also has like really stupid sun sign memes for fun.
Okay, cool. So the usual, the news as it's playing out from what we've been talking about, which it really is, I can tell you. Oh my goodness, what a crazy world right now. And I'll be so
Well,
glad when this Mercury retrograde is over, Kathy, I have to tell you. Of course, it's been squaring all my Sagittarius stuff, so it's
well, a Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces is kind of like really smoke and mirrors time. Like, wow, what is real? I feel queasy. All right, so that's one of the influences that will be heavily reflected in the news items that I'm
Mm,
about to detail. Also, over the last week, it trined Jupiter in Cancer, so watch for news of excessiveness and also all things Cancerian. Just on the lookout. It joined with Mars, the warrior god, and then Venus and Jupiter have had a square, really pumping up women's issues, warrior issues. Just notice. All right, so
mm.
the New York Times released its investigations of an inspirational man, that's Pisces, who it turns out abused women. Cesar Chavez, who was a farm worker labor leader, that's the Jupiter in Cancer, including labor rights leader Dolores Huerta.
Who
Uh,
had two
and
children by him. Oh my God.
oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's terrible, her story. Anyway, yeah.
Well, kind of in the same general waters, picking up something that we'll talk about a lot more in other areas. A female pastor in Missouri, was suspended last week after it was discovered that she worked for and managed the private island of Jeffrey Epstein for nearly a year, right before his arrest. That's all right. The identity, now there's also like revealing artsy stuff. The identity was revealed of the street artist Banksy, who's been putting political, whimsical
I
commentary.
love Banksy. I've got a whole book of his stuff, and I'm like,
So
oh
now
my,
his name is known.
I wish it wasn't.
I bet he wishes it wasn't.
Mm.
All right, so Pisces, faith. Peter Thiel lectured about the Antichrist in Rome. The audacity. All right. A court has temporarily barred Health and Human Services from reducing the number of recommended childhood vaccines. That's very Neptunian.
Mm.
Um, Brendan Carr has suggested he will revoke broadcast licenses over the war coverage. And along with that, the White House posted a bunch of infographics boasting about how Trump is reshaping the media with boxes for various platforms he's affected and platforms of people and publications, and specifically claiming the ouster of Joy Ann Reid from what was then MSNBC, and the cancellation of Stephen Colbert. I don't think Stephen mentioned that on his show. Here's a fun one. A musician named Afro Man won a defamation case that was brought by a bunch of Ohio police after he used footage of them raiding his house in 2 music videos. And there were no charges from these search warrants. And he used footage from security cameras and his wife's phone. And a jury said, nope.
How could that be defamation?
They were humiliated.
Good.
Okay, now Pisces, the oceans, Mercury, Mars, attacks on the oceans. No countries have come to Trump's aid in the Strait of Hormuz. So his response was to drop bunker buster bombs on anti-ship missile sites along the Strait of Hormuz, through which I think a fifth of the world's oil usually travels. So on the Pisces new moon, which is at the very end of Pisces, connecting, I called it the butterfly effect new moon, where something that happens here affects over here. Israel struck an oil field in Iran, and Iran bombed an industrial area in Qatar that is a major hub for liquefied natural gas from the world's biggest gas field. So
And
this
remember,
has
Pisces is related to oil and gases, by the way. So, yeah.
yes, thank you. Right,
Yeah.
so this all fits. All right, now let's add Venus sextile Pluto. Venus in an opportunity aspect to Pluto. Trump violated the private health data of a member of Congress who has cancer, and he named him, and then he claims that he saved the man because he got him treatment at Walter Reed, which is for the executive branch, not the legislative branch has its own health care.
And didn't he also say something like he'd be dead by June or something?
Yes.
And even Mike Johnson said, "Well, that wasn't public knowledge."
Right. There is a law about disclosing privately identifiable health information. It's called.
And I said Mercury retrograde in Pisces was kind of like loose lips sink ships kind of thing. So that's that kind of. Sorry, interrupted.
Right. And but Pluto, secrets. There we go. It all kind of fits.
Oh yeah.
The director of the National Counterterrorism Center quit over the war, publicly stating that Iran didn't pose a threat.
I mean, he's not a great person himself, by the way, but yeah.
Well,
he did say that. Yeah.
That shows you how. Well, there's more on that little topic. Okay, so I say that there's more to come over this issue for a couple of reasons, because the planets are increasingly moving into Aries, and I say there will be more to come on the throttled whistleblower complaint against Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, for her handling last Aries time, of reports intercepting foreign conversations mentioning Jared Kushner and Iran. And who's in the middle of the negotiations for Iran right now? So she appears before Congress with a written statement, and the statement that she reads leaves out sentences that Iran posed no nuclear threat, which is in direct contradiction to the position that the White House has been taking.
Oh.
Also in this whole general area, Pam Bondi appeared in a private meeting somewhere in Congress. I'm afraid I can't give you specifics on that. And a lot of Dem members walked out, and articles of impeachment were immediately filed against her. So they've been filed for her handling of the Epstein files, and the House Oversight Committee has subpoenaed her the Republican-controlled House Oversight Committee has subpoenaed her to testify April 14th.
Mm-hmm.
And more lies, fitting all of this Mercury retrograde. Representative Dan Goldman has read previously redacted files on the House floor, so he got them into the congressional record, that contradict what Trump has been saying about expelling Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. And the part that was read included communications involving Trump's lawyer saying that Epstein was not asked to leave because he was not a member. He was only a guest. And so this was read into the congressional record on the Pisces new moon, so this one has legs. A couple more things. The New York Times has been reporting quite openly this week on Jared Kushner continuing to pursue his own attempts to get business funding in the Middle East from the very countries who are now getting embroiled in a war for which he is acting as the country's representative.
Mm-hmm.
Few other things. Meta has announced it's shutting down its virtual reality metaverse. Weirdly Piscean. June 14th, the Kennedy Center board voted to close it for 2 years for renovations, but the pending renovations of the White House are under court review, and the judge is not, he's going to issue a ruling by the end of the month. He was very dubious of the president's authority to change something for which he is only a temporary occupant. A couple more things about eclipse fallout. The February 17th solar eclipse specifically, as Uranus moves toward activating the eclipse degree, which we'll talk about, court has blocked subpoenas of the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, ruling that a criminal probe into his testimony regarding building renovations was a politically motivated effort to pressure the Fed. And Powell has refused to raise rates because he says the three reasons for the current state of the economy are all actions that Trump has taken. Immigration policy, the tariffs, and now what's going on in the Middle East. Final thing, a judge has actually would that I had been there, a judge threw a federal prosecutor out of a courtroom over the ongoing confusion, Mercury in Pisces, retrograde in Pisces, over just who is in charge of the U.S. Attorney Office for New Jersey. The temporary occupant of that position that Trump put in without following proper procedure got booted. That's Aline Haba. And Bondi appointed a panel of 3. Not really the way you're supposed to do things. So leadership has been called in to explain what's going on and just who's in control. More Mercury retrograde fun and games. So that's where we are right now.
Can I just have a rant? I don't know how this goes with the astrology, but this morning, that Senator John Fetterman, who basically should be a Republican by now, he voted to forward Mark Wayne Mullins' nomination for USDHS, and said we must fund it, and said that Trump derangement syndrome runs the Democratic Party. That feels very Pisces, new moon as well, and all that kind of stuff too.
Oh, I agree. It does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does. And what world are we living in? The head of that committee, who is a Republican, just laid into him, Rand Paul.
Yeah,
so,
Rand Paul did, yeah.
What kind of world is this? We'll see.
Although Rand Paul, he's always been one of those interesting characters. He's occasionally on what I consider to be the right side of it, because he's more libertarian than the rest of them.
He did talk about the bad example that would be set by someone who tried to have a duel, which has been outlawed for 150 years.
I know.
And
I know. And he was a MMN, or what they call it, fighter. You know, that
Oh,
boxing.
that's right.
Yeah, he's entirely unqualified, but then they all are. So there we go.
Well, let me cleanse the palate with one fun one. Okay, this is a Mercury conjunct Mars in Pisces. Mercury retrograde conjunct Mars in Pisces. For a while last week, there was all kinds of chatter on Instagram about a man in Florida who was supposedly found on the beach, who claimed that he had been forced by dolphins to go underwater and to stay there. They gave him bubbles so he could breathe, and to like rebuild a city. And he was supposedly found on the beach. He's an engineer, and he was drawing schematics for what this underground city looks like, with the head dolphin named Gerald. And supposedly he was taken to the hospital, and they found seawater in his lungs. Dot 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 dot. So this was a source of great play all over Instagram, and
Wow.
no, it did not happen. But what a great fish story for Mercury retrograde in
It
Pisces.
really is. And with a Pisces new moon as well, with almost like, ugh. Oh, honestly, it's been extremely weird time. But anyway,
Exactly.
I'm going through the aspects really quickly because then we've got a lot of aspects to talk about to the person's chart we're going to share. But so the first aspect starting today, we may have mentioned some of these last week, is that um, it's Chiron and Eris. Eris, the table turner, as I always call her, she really I see that she fights for the outsider. She has got a very angry side to her, but that's kind of righteous anger, in my opinion. Anyway, Chiron was conjunct Eris this morning, kind of both exposing the wound and the medicine that we can bring in to be the change we want to see in the world. Do you have it? And also, though, at the same time, and I'm not going to go look at all the lunar aspects, but the moon this morning was crossing over all of this as well in Aries right after the new moon. So the moon is coming up to all of this cluster in Aries too. So it's the Aries energy is building, shall we say? But I think Chiron and Eris conjunct is pretty major. You have anything to say about today?
Well,
Hmm.
I would say this is I'm not going to take it anymore. Energy
Mm.
spreading and spreading and spreading in the
Hmm.
populace. So a fire has been lit, a fuse has been lit, and it's only going to grow over the next couple of days.
And it's kind of like everything is building, like, with all this stuff about Chavez and all of the, war stuff and things. Yeah, I think people are, and the Epstein files, of course, but it's all connected, in my opinion. So then tomorrow we have the equinox. And so the equinox is at 10:45 a.m. Eastern. So that's equal day, equal night. So look at this. You can see the Aries energy is building even more. But also later that day, Mercury stations direct conjunct the North Node. And that, oh, I've said it many times, but the nodes have sat at 8 degrees right through the eclipses. They're still going to be at 8 degrees for quite a while. And Venus was conjunct the North Node at 8 degrees on the Aquarius eclipse back on February the 17th, it was, wasn't it? And
Right.
so that 8 degree Pisces is a really kind of hot degree, but Mercury is finally going direct as well. So, yeah. And so I just feel this, the tides are turning again. This is another kind of shift, and more people standing up and going over what's been revealed during the Mercury retrograde eclipse season and all of that, and people starting to again stand up and say no more. Hmm.
And there could be also, and I would watch for this, a growing expression of understanding how large portions of the world are in the same boat. Like we are in this
Mm,
together,
yeah.
and others are doing this to us.
And also, even it could even represent all these other countries saying no. Realizing they have to stand together. So anyway, on Saturday the 21st, Mars in Pisces still reaches the middle degree of Pisces and trines Jupiter, that unbroken flow aspect. Again, Jupiter is still at the station degree, so it's still moving slowly. If I click on it, you could say it's moving slow after its station direct. This is another push forward. If you think about the energy of Mars, it kind of pushes things forward. More truths coming to light, I think, all kinds of, also this tide turning aspect of people kind of changing their perspectives and saying it's time to do something. Yeah.
There could be something involving the Navy
Mm.
with, and there's a weird event that has occurred. I didn't tie it to the astrology, but the major aircraft carrier in the Middle East has been pulled out of service because
Mm.
the laundry room caught on fire.
Oh.
Interesting.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Anyway,
Sorry.
there's always a supersized nature of things that occur when Jupiter gets involved, and you can
Mm.
think of it as like creating a riptide or an
Mm-hmm.
undertow in whatever is happening, since it's at the degree of its direct station. It's not really moving; it's intensifying
Mm.
whatever is going on. So there could be a like oversized, over the top military action. There could be
Mm.
oversized, over the top pushes for what's this country really about, what's going on with resources, action to help people. I don't know. It'll just be
Mm.
extreme this weekend, however
Mm.
it plays out.
Yeah, it's big energy. So then on to Sunday, the 22nd. I'm not going to get it exact, but the sun has just moved into Aries, as we saw. Will conjunct Neptune for the first time in Aries in hundreds of years, a long time, about 165 to be honest. But and so this is a big deal because we've just had the equinox as well, which is kind of always a big shift as well in the seasons, equal night, equal day. And so, the sun will conjunct Saturn then on the 25th as well. And of course, this is activating the Saturn Neptune conjunction that was at 0 Aries. And so the sun, big old light in Aries, which is pioneering, new beginnings, all things like that. But it's also going to shine a big old light on things we've not been seeing, more things we've not been seeing, I think. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think individually, people could step much more into
Mm.
I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Fearlessness of what can I do, and feeling a sense of mission. I've been talking a lot about spiritual warriors, about
Mm.
artist warriors and stuff. So this could be very interesting to see what people feel emboldened to do.
Mm. And I see it coming because, just at a local level, as an example, I went to our caucus here in Utah on Tuesday night, and it was record turnout in for Democratic caucus here in Utah. I don't know I don't know if the Republican one was or not, but people are realizing that you know each of us plays a part in this, really. So it's about that Aries, so if it is to be, it's up to me kind of energy. Not that you have to
Yes.
take the whole world on yourself, it's each plays a part, right?
Hmm.
mm, so yeah. Then on March the 23rd, um, Mercury crosses the North Node for the third time. It's been, bobbing back and forth over it. And so Mercury is starting to move forward. We're starting to move towards that North Node energy. We're really starting to see that everything is interconnected. We're all in this together, all of that energy. But interestingly, as it does, the moon kind of forms this lovely T square as well. Don't normally look into the moon aspects for these things. but that's a mutable T-square. And T-squares, I always think, are very active for driving change, and mutable signs are really about changing as well. This could be changing perspectives, changing, beliefs or faith or whatever, seeing things differently, because, we've been reviewing with Mercury retrograde. Anything to add to that? Of course,
Possibly.
Mercury is the ruler for both Virgo and Gemini too. So, yeah, go
Well,
on.
since that rules, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Since that rules the people, there could be
Mm,
just a lot of curiosity, a whole lot of talk. This isn't just sitting and accepting
hmm
anything at all.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then later on the 23rd, one little aspect I'm not going to go loads into, but Juno is our kind of sacred contracts with each other, has been in Capricorn, kind of apart from Pholus the Centaur, which has a very slow orbit, is the remaining energy left in Capricorn, the structures that we live under. But Uranus trines Juno at, actually, it's going to be, yeah, it is at 28 degrees. So almost at the end of the signs too. And Uranus is awakening and radical change. Again, it's kind of awakening to how we are not kind of honoring our contracts with each other, and the structures of our lives are not, and the institutions are not, and things like that. Mm-hmm.
There are two other things I'd like to say about this chart, about
Mm,
what you just said.
mm.
Um,
It's at 28 degrees, of course, as well.
Women, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, whatever the new, so three things, whatever the new
Mm-hmm.
moons since the Virgo solar eclipse in September have been pushing us to, there will be something growing out of all of that. And I know it's kind of vague, but I think this is women's news, women's rights
Mm-hmm.
news. This could have something to do with the fight over the Save Act, which is being
Mm-hmm.
debated on the floor, or a woman coming forward with something really shocking, or something that changes the playing field involving a woman.
It could be all of those things, to be honest. It's pretty big, really, I think. So,
It's very, very
yeah.
big. And along with
Mm-hmm.
that, just notice, look at the colors over on the right.
Mm-hmm.
If the glyphs are too much for you, we have an equal amount using the asteroids of
Mm-hmm.
Pisces and of Aries. So this is really steamy.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that is, it's like a volcano building in the water, and there may actually be something physical that happens with that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is fueling people to just be really bold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in my software, the red is always the fire element and the blue is always the water element. So that's why it's steamy, because fire and water. Hmm Yeah, could literally be fires on water as well.
Yeah.
Hmm I remember another astrologer, can't remember her name, saying something about the year being the baptism of fire on water or something like that. It was
Ooh.
like, ooh, yeah.
Well, oil refineries do, they burn, oil
Yeah,
platforms can burn on the water, so who knows?
yep, exactly. So moving on quickly, 24th, there's no major aspects. That doesn't mean nothing's going on, but I'm only going to point out the major ones. On to the 25th, I already mentioned it. The Sun crosses Saturn. So, that's again activating that Saturn, what's been emerging from the Saturn Neptune conjunction. We can talk to that in a minute. But at the same time, pretty much, the Sun also makes an sextile aspect of opportunity to Pluto. This, in a way, is going to foreshadow when Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto all aspect each other in July. So
Hmm.
it's activating something there, but also the sun is shining a light on the shadow, the corruption, all of those kind of things, and on the man-made rules and structures again that we live under, but also shining a light on the determination to do something within each person that's arising. So, mhm, mhm.
Since there's an opportunity or an opening that comes with this kind of relationship, it is possible, I am not saying this is what will happen, but it is possible that the brakes could be put on the president's war,
Mhm.
or a brake, or a
Oh,
limitation,
please,
or something,
please,
something with this.
please.
Yeah.
Yep, please, please. Okay, on to the 26th. Venus, she's pretty spicy in Aries, by the way. Venus, fighting for women, but it's also money, relationships, all those things. She passes first Eris and then Chiron, and so she's joining in that table turning, standing up for the outsiders, saying, we each have to stand up and take a stand. We can see it with people like Dolores Huertas already coming out and telling her story at 95 years of age, that she had kept quiet for so long because she felt she had to, because of the world we're living in. And guess who I can see clapping back about that already today? Some men saying, "Oh, he's in the ground. Do we have to bring up that past?" And I'm like, are you really going to say that to a bunch of women? But anyway.
And yet other states are just suddenly removing all days celebrating him from their calendar
Yes.
very quickly, Texas being one of them. I think maybe the
Mm,
origin of his last name might have something to do with it. Oh, excuse me.
mm,
I wanna say that this could be uh, fighting mad women. This could be something connected to women fighting for survivors, or survivors
mm,
banding together and saying, "That's it. Here's what we're doing."
mm, mm. Yeah. And I always see Venus, yes, as women, of course, always, but as also kind of all marginalized or othered people as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of kind of spicing up and people going, "Hey, we're all in this together," kind of thing. We've all been hurt by this, and it feels like a real kind of coming together of that
Mhm.
as well. Mhm. Because I'm obviously a bit of an activist on the left, and there is a tendency to fight each other as well. This could focus people. Aries is very
Mhm.
yeah. So I'm going to go on to the 28th. There's only lunar aspects on the 27th, but again, that doesn't mean nothing's happening. On to the 28th. Ceres, she's been a little quiet, but as again, she is a personal planet, everybody. She gets to that 5-degree mark and squares Pluto. She's going to be really important when we look at um, this person's chart we're going to look at. But this is, I think we're going to I'm already noticing prices going up in the grocery store, and I'm not a big price watcher. I think we're going to start to see maybe some food shortages, and we're going to see that it's certain actions that are causing that. So,
Yeah, this is definitely economy. This is,
hmm
and
hmm
since Ceres is in the seventh house,
hmm
allies and open enemies,
hmm
um, except for Washington, there are going to be trade issues, big trade issues as well.
And Pluto is in the fourth house, which is the basis of security, because we always look at the Washington. And just a few hours afterwards, Saturn actually sextiles Pluto as well, adding to that energy, kind of bringing clarity, kind of a bit of a slap in the face, it feels to me, about the details, because the sixth house is also kind of like, you know, uh, the details, the filing cabinets of our physical needs. It's a house of health. So,
Hmm.
I think a lot of what's happening, people are going to see how this is affecting us, all the ways, not just the food shortages and things like that, but many of those themes.
Hmm.
hmm
Agree.
Yeah. So 29th, Mars. Mars gets really active. Mars. and Pallas Athena and Nessus. Remember, Nessus is kind of revealing the toxins, the abuses of power, but also it's like the buck stops here. It's like when you see it, you're going, the buck stops here. In other words, it stops with me. And Mars is drive, will, Pallas Athena, kind of, I always see her in Pisces as almost like seeing into the dark kind of thing. What's being revealed, people are going to say, I've had enough.
Mm-hmm.
I want to change.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
Yeah. In the meantime, Juno has slipped into Aquarius on that day as well, joining Pluto. That leaves only Pholus in Capricorn. If you remember, everybody who's watching, we kind of had a bunch in Capricorn, a bunch in Aquarius. Then it all piled up at the end of the zodiac, and now it's all moving forward. So Juno goes into Aquarius, which is bigger picture here really as well, and hopes and wishes for the future, but it's also humanitarianism, the people, things like that. So, and she was the goddess of women and children, as well as like all these sacred contracts with each other, as I call them. But yeah. So then I've only got one last chart to share, so I'll just get the actual chart up. So it's on April Fool's Day. We have an Aries.
It's the
Sorry?
Libra full moon. It's the Libra full moon.
Oh yeah, it is. So yeah, sun's in Aries, of course. But I
Yeah.
always wonder why they call it by the moon, though. To be honest, because it's kind of like more anyway. Whatever.
Right.
Doesn't really. I just saved this really quick before we started. So.
Oh, I know how this goes. Believe me, I'm always flipping things.
Look at this beautiful cardinal grand cross with Pholus and Jupiter still in opposition. This is going to force change. I always think of Aries Libra being the me we axis, moon in we, kind of in the Libra, and also the sign of justice and balance and harmony, and Aries sun. So if it is to be, it's up to me. Mm-hmm.
And with it being a grand cross like that, being pulled in many directions, and each it's not okay because it's cardinal, which is sometimes called movable.
Mm-hmm.
I get this image of trying to move and digging deeper into the ground at each of the 4 points. So ultimately, what's going to give is the people will give because the moon will move on, and it will. Pholus down there in Capricorn is only going to move closer into an opposition with Jupiter. So whatever is brought to light is going to heighten and heighten and heighten with this. A full moon brings a culmination. It brings something, it shines a light on something in a way that maybe we have not looked at before. So whatever comes, it seems to be the, oh man, are we stuck in this issue? It's going to take a little while to get unstuck, but when we get unstuck, it will be unstuck in a huge way.
Unfortunately, Jupiter moves way faster than Pholus, so they won't ever reach enough. They've, Jupiter's stationed at 15, so they were
They're not going to
in
reach
opposition quite a while back when Jupiter was earlier in Cancer, but this is well within orb of an opposition, especially on a full moon. And so, they're initiating signs, so something will be. I agree, yeah, because it's a grand cross or a grand square, whichever you want to call it. There is, all these opposing things, but integration is the key. And like you said, the moon moves on the fastest, and I think it's going to start something, even if it feels a little bit hard to actually kind of start it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's some discomfort built into this. The ruler of the moon, the ruler of Libra, Louise calls it the guide, is Venus, who's in her earthy home sign of Taurus. And notice that she's in a really uncomfortable aspect with Neptune in Aries. Now, Venus and Neptune both rule love, worldly love and higher love, and they both rule inspiration and creativity. And I equate this as a pebble in your shoe that no matter how many times you move things around, you still feel it. So there's something that's really irritating trying to get your attention. I think your description of this is sort of like that.
It is. Yeah, it is very much that aspect. Yeah. But I always look at the numbers too, and the two is kind of the so-called divine feminine number, but it's the number of receptivity, reciprocity, all that kind of stuff. That's why it's kind of the feminine energy. She's really strong in her sign. So this is just, I think, even though it's a bit like a pebble in the shoe, it's going to kind of show us kind of, that we really need to get rooted in our core values and take a stand again.
Hmm.
Yeah, I always think those more uncomfortable aspects actually push us to do more than some of the easier aspects, right? So
What I hear
yeah.
looking at that is no war
Mm.
for oil because
Yeah.
Venus in Taurus is paying attention to what's here right now, what can I touch, what can I
Hmm.
consume, and like a lie about a war for oil. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Hmm. I agree. And how it's affecting everything, really. It's just honestly. Okay, so I'll get that individual's chart up, and
Yeah,
I.
we don't look at him often, but he's the center of everything right now.
He really is. So before we start looking at what's happening and coming up for us, he's going to get a lot of series aspects. I'm not going to talk about the chart particularly from that perspective now, but I will point out that he has Ceres opposing Pluto and aspecting his Chiron, all this energy here, and various other things. And I did a whole Kepler presentation on the Kepler College YouTube channel. You can find it about Ceres and about how his Ceres is really challenged and how it's reflected in his upbringing and so forth. Not excusing him, but his upbringing is basically kind of he's taking it out. The shadow that's come up for it is he's kind of the wounded person or child taking it out on everybody, the whole world. He's got an afflicted series, so to speak. So, mm-hmm,
I'd like to say two things before you put the
mm-hmm,
aspects up.
mm-hmm,
I had not looked at where his series is before. Series
mm-hmm,
in Aquarius in the sixth house. He thinks he what's yours is his. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
he looks at the collective resources as his,
mm-hmm,
and that's in the chart. That's
mm-hmm,
astonishing. And then
mm-hmm,
if you look at his second house, which is money and how he earns his living, and we've said for a long time that Neptune in Libra in the second house is it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all,
mm-hmm.
it's a con man. But I had not noticed that Juno is right there, really, really close to his Chiron. So his Achilles heel is the contracts that he's made, the
Oh,
agreements that he has made.
and it's all making this air grand trine too, which is not really a good thing with his chart at all, because that kind of has a lot to explain how he's just like comes out with all this crap and then it changes the next day and you never know what he's going to say and what's going to actually come to fruition and all that kind of energy. It's
And
yeah.
the only thing that grounds that air grand trine
Hmm.
is Pluto in the house of criminality
Hmm.
and secrets
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
self undoing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's he's got a really interesting chart if you just look at him as a soul, which I prefer not to, but he is. So, yeah.
So, what are we going to talk about with
Mm.
the aspects? Because there's a lot going on for
Oh
him.
my God, there is. So, shall I first of all just bring up his secondary progress chart?
Oh,
Um,
sure.
so secondary progressions basically move a planet for um, a day per year. And so we normally only look at the faster moving kind of planets. But he's got a secondary progressed moon in Scorpio, which interestingly is right at the bottom of his chart. I hadn't even thought about that. Ooh, that's interesting too. But he has two
Hmm.
big. He's just had secondary progressed moon trine his natal Venus, and we've talked before about his Venus Saturn conjunction being his problems with women, particularly. But coming up, so this is just past, the secondary progressed moon is going to square his natal Mars on April the 15th. And his Mars is right here on his ascendant. So it's a prominent Mars. Any planet that's on an angle is a very prominent chart. And this is right at the base of his chart in a Mars ruled sign traditionally. I think, and secondary progressed moon could represent the people, but I think this is a really challenging square for him. There are other transiting aspects at that same time, so remember this for when we look at those. So this is exact on April the 15th, but he's feeling this now, right?
So
Mm-hmm.
this could be family, this could be demons, inner demons.
Mm,
This could also, since that moon is ruled by that Pluto in the 12th house,
mm-hmm.
this could be all kinds of things going on behind the scenes at him
Mm-hmm.
for things that he has done. I also say this is not spell happy home life. I will say that. Not at all. Nope, nope, nope.
And it's very emotionally challenging, and Moon in Scorpio is very deep feelings. But I'm again not supporting him at all. But it's going to kind of really sting. Scorpio is a stinger, so that's going on, and it could explain a lot of why he's even more erratic than usual. One of the things that could explain it. Moon in Scorpio likes to dig in as well, though. These are fixed signs, so I can think it could explain why he's not backing down on the attacks on Iran yet.
And there's a retribution
Oh,
aspect to this. Like, I will get you, I will get you. Except that other people are lobbing
gonna
back at him with all of this.
yes, and we see that happening more and more. And people that understand the astrology, we're going to get off the progress chart in a little while. We're only looking at the exact ones, but they were one of the other faster moving progressions, which we usually look at, is his progressed Mercury. Is right now it's been over his Mars and coming up to his ascendant. So this kind of explains to me why his words have got more bullying and attacking and even worse than usual.
Yep. Angry, angry, angry.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything you want to say on the progressed or?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. I'll put the progressions in for today. We don't have he's got so much happening in
Oh,
his
the
chart.
transits. Yeah.
Sorry, transits. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
transits are where the planets are now. Um shall I move to the 25th first? That's when they really kick in.
Yes.
Hmm. But again, he'll be feeling these, approaching, shall we say now. But transiting Mars on the 25th starts to make a whole bunch of aspects, because Mars gets to first 17 degrees Pisces and squares his Uranus that's connected to his full moon eclipse energy that he was born under. He's had a lot of squares to all of this that we've looked at over time, but this is Mars. And Mars Uranus tend to be a little bit volatile, shall we say? Or a lot volatile. How would you? And this is again in the house of open enemies, so it's what's coming at him, I think, more, but also what he projects onto others.
So a lot of attacks, but since Mars in Pisces isn't always direct about what it
Mm,
does. So
no.
this is a day when really damaging information about things he has done could come
Mm,
sideways. This is a day that would be really big for major leaks. I mean, like we've been saying for a long time, other countries have the goods on him.
mhm,
And this could be a day when somebody says, enough, no more.
mhm.
And as Mars continues to move over the few days after this,
Mhm.
by the time it exactly squares his moon in the sign of foreign relations, something's
Let me
coming out.
move them on. Yeah.
Something's
So,
coming out.
oh yeah, and I was going to say something else about Mars.
Oh
Can't
yeah, no,
remember.
I
Oh no, no, no! You said it. The word leaks, and Pisces is very leaks, is what I was going to say, and Gemini is information too. So all these things,
mhm.
yeah. So and then it's by the 31st actually. Mars will come up and square his sun. So it squares his moon on the 29th, and on the 31st, it squares his sun exactly. But, this is so tight that a lot of it's really kind of all happening together because at the same time, Pallas Athena and Nessus are together and they're squaring his moon. It's just remember that's the buck stops here. This is she's Pallas Athena is a justice goddess basically as well. So you know I know we keep saying how can he survive this, and he keeps doing it, Teflon, but Mars tends to really cut deep, and so and he's got a strong Mars as well, so that's showing up in here. So this period is just like crazy for him. Hmm.
There's already been a lot of people on the floor of Congress referring to uh, reports that the FBI has in their files of him and a 13-year-old who is now an adult woman,
Hmm.
and that could very well be one of the issues that comes up and up and up. And this is a series of like several days of ongoing attacks. It's not just one thing and then he can bury it. It's as if it's coordinated and coming from here
Mm.
and here and here and here. Because while this is happening, the moon in Virgo is moving slowly into what is a grand cross. It's making this kind of an aspect,
Hmm.
and you're sort of stuck in that until it's a log jam. And even though it's in mutable signs, so it could
Mm.
be many stories,
Oh,
many things coming out, coming out, coming out, coming out. And whack-a-mole, you can only play so long.
oh, God, I know. Oh, yes. Anyway, I'm just going to get the full moon chart up on April the 1st because on April the 1st, Kathy pointed out before we came on that Uranus triggers the eclipse degree from February the 17th. That was in
Yeah, April
Aquarius.
1st, April 2nd, right.
Yeah. So, and then on April the 1st, Chiron on the full moon, Chiron and Eris, but I'm going to say together really, square his Venus as well. That and squares are challenging, but they also push for action and
Yep.
change. And so we talked about all this Aries stuff being people starting to say stand up and take a stand and things. This feels like more women coming out and actually kind of saying things. I think it was in Australia, one of the Epstein survivors had actually come out and told her story publicly for the first time or something. There could be more of that kind of energy, right? Um, yeah.
Well, so this is straddling the eighth house, which is the house of sex. It's also a crimes house. It's money, it's investments, it's other people's money.
Hmm.
And the ninth house, foreign relations, foreign dealings, foreign countries, and those two bodies straddling those two, or maybe they're all in the eighth. Sorry, they're all in the eighth. I'm wrong. So they're all in the house of criminality. They're close to the other.
I think,
So
no, I think it's straddling. If we
it's
change the
straddling.
house system to Placidus, I think it puts them in the ninth. So I always think when they're that close, it's kind of like right on the cusp, you know?
So with that square to Venus, which and they've been squaring Saturn before that. That
Mm,
Saturn Venus in the 11th house in Cancer means a whole bunch of things. Women is one of them.
mhm,
It could be stuff involving one of his daughters or women
mhm,
or family money, family
mhm,
business, because the family has made a lot of money since he's been in the White House. It could
mhm,
also be um, organizations, because the 11th house deals with groups.
mhm,
There's all kinds of money possibilities and money with other governments, Saturn. So it's just a multiplicity of
mhm.
issues in his life that have had, okay, we tie it to the thing about Uranus and the eclipse. All right, so that eclipse on February 17th completely made really, really brittle his entire basis of existence because it
Mhm.
hit his relationship angle, like who he is, his identity, his relationships, and also his place in the world, the basis of it and what his career is, his most public life. And there was this one lever that got pushed with Uranus being part of it, and the lever releases on
Mhm.
April 1 or 2, right around in there, and it shoots something out that is going to shatter an already brittle
Oh,
situation. Now, in my view of so two things are possible with this.
mm,
In the way the house system I use, that Uranus rules his house of health. In the house system that Louise has up here, that Saturn, which is being pulled in with the square to Venus, rules his house of health. So
mhm,
health is a factor in something that will start to shatter on that day, but I'm thinking it's a
mm.
lot more than that.
And I think it's going to actually build and build. So I'm just going to, um, I'll quickly go through these. April the 2nd. So, oh, why did it go to, oh, that's because I didn't put radix. Sorry, everybody. So I tell you, these centaurs really kind of help add to the story because Mars again comes up and makes a sextile to his natal Pholus, which is in the fifth house, but in Capricorn. And I always see Pholus really as where you've been out of integrity, and we've seen that Mars is going to, in Pisces, we're going to see more about where there's been a lack of integrity. It's kind of like a Pandora's box, so all the sins kind of come out, the lid comes off, and it comes out. So, building on what Kathy said already about the other aspects, it's we're going to find out more, right?
And Pholus is in the house that deals with his children. It deals with
Yeah.
risk
Mm-hmm.
taking. It
Mm-hmm.
deals with speculation. Deals with pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, that'll be very interesting.
Mm. And then just the next day, so I'll just move it on a day. Saturn transiting opposes his Neptune in the sign of justice, relationships, people. That's going to bring some clarity around all those Venusian issues too, I think, too.
And deals that he's made.
Deals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's there's an awful lot, and it just keeps building and building. So on April the 4th, transiting Mars trines his Venus. So yes, it's a nice flowing trine, but if you think about it in the process of what we've been talking about and all these aspects, I think that's more, even more coming to light, but also people saying, I've had enough of this, we're going to do something
Mhm,
about it. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Mars doesn't usually attack head on. It usually is a little bit indirect and sideways, so
Mm. Yeah,
or manipulative.
in Pisces, yeah, for sure.
In
Mm-hmm.
Pisces, right, right, right.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. April the 6th, we're going to start looking at Ceres a little bit. I'm not going to get it exact, but Ceres starts to join the picture by transit. Now, Ceres is up there in the house of justice and courts and all of those kind of things. And she's very strong in Taurus. I always think, if I must use the term rulership, I don't. But she was discovered in Taurus. She's a Earth goddess, basically. And so she is up there in Taurus, very strong. She starts to make a lot of aspects, and we've seen already that he's got a challenged Ceres natally. But anyway, on the 6th, Ceres makes the first aspect with a sextile to his Mercury. And so that's the news about maybe family, and how it's affected the people. And it could be seen as justice might start to be coming finally. Any more to say on that?
No, I just see things that are building, so I'll wait till you get to
Oh,
the
definitely.
asterisks.
Well, I'm going to get this one exact because
Hmm.
on the 7th, Ceres and Venus conjunct his natal Nessus. Remember, Nessus is abuses of power, toxins, poisons, and saying the buck stops here. Venus relationships, money, Ceres, needs met and unmet, but in this case, it's showing the collective needs. It's also at a 9, which is an ending, I think, which is lovely. I think that is a big day for things.
I bet there's a court ruling that day that is really
Mm.
definitive.
Oh, there could be. Yeah, from a woman judge maybe as well. And pretty much at the same time, because it's 2 days later, Ceres squares his Pluto in that house of hidden enemies and things. So Ceres comes up on April the 9th, and we'll get to 10 degrees and we'll square his Pluto. So that's, I always see these Venus, Ceres, and Pluto as kind of very similar energy. They kind of are in my shamanic world, mind, body, spirit. But it's it's that energy of bringing everything together, earthly desires, these hidden soul desires, and Ceres is the needs met. There's so many layers to all of that. But in fixed signs, I think this period I think is going to be really tough again for him. Oh, what a shame. Do you want to add to it?
No, I'm just chomping at the bit for what happens the next day.
Oh yeah. I'm going to get that exact because it's big. So Saturn conjunct and Saturn joins the picture. Saturn conjoins his natal Eris. We all have Eris in Aries, so because it's got a very slow orbit. But this is in his 8th house of secrets and shared resources and all kinds of things like that. And Saturn transits especially in Aries, can bring sharp clarity. Right? You say what you see in that one.
Oh, I see something
Mm-hmm.
clamping down on his
Mm-hmm.
disruption. I see
Mm-hmm.
something saying, "Okay, that's it. No more. Stop it."
Mm-hmm.
And everyone goes, "Oh, but he always gets away with it." Well, let's wait
Mm-hmm.
and see who does what to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By April 10th.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and I'm only going to oh no, this was the secondary progressed one, because then, of course, on April the 15th, his
Right.
secondary progressed Mars squares, Moon, sorry, squares his Mars. So we already talked about that. So all this is building. But then on April the 17th, another Mars aspect. Thank you, Mars. Opposes his Neptune, right? Because Mars has moved on. Have I got that right? No. No, that's July the 25th, 27th. Why
Yep,
have I
wrong
not?
day.
I know. Why did that
Because
not
it's
do it?
it's also
Oh, that's
a
because I
new
did conjunct.
moon.
Sorry. No,
Mm.
hit the wrong aspect. So April the 17th, Mars has moved into Aries now, which is its own sign. And you can see that Mars is almost on Eris again, where Saturn was, and these two are about to join up. And Mars joins the picture and opposes Neptune.
Okay, so you guys who've been sitting there waiting for the military to do something about this man, here's a window.
There is.
There's a window here.
Yeah, there
Also,
is.
this day is the later in the day. It's the Aries new moon. It will be at 27. Aries in his ninth house of the courts and foreign dealings, and that will be of fueling his Mars
And
in a
on
big
that
way.
same day as well, transiting Ceres, which we just looked at, squares his natal Ceres.
Oh, some trouble with his toys. Won't that be interesting?
Won't it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, I mean, we could,
We could
he
go on
just
and
has
on.
trouble on the horizon for quite a long time.
Oh,
Is
he
the point
does,
of all
you
of
know.
this.
I think I think I'd like to close with the Jupiter aspect, if that's all right.
Sure, go ahead.
So Jupiter squares his natal Jupiter and he's got a lot more challenging ones to come. But Jupiter, in many ways, is the judge. Okay, and Jupiter is finally on the move forward and squares his natal Jupiter. And so that I think, even though it's the benefic, I think that's going to be challenging for him as well. Especially because he's got a Jupiter ruled moon south node in the fourth house. I think justice could be coming.
Well, and Jupiter is in a relationship with his natal Uranus. They're both at
Mm-hmm.
17.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we were talking about of the pebble in the shoe. So there is something that he tries to dart, can't quite get away from,
Mm-hmm.
and is just an irritant and an irritant and an irritant.
And as that
And this,
happens, Uranus is approaching its last square to his ascendant as well. So that's kind of going to shake him up rather as well. Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of really tough aspects to come, especially for somebody that's been doing shady dealings and been out of integrity and all those things we've talked about with the chart. I want, I do want to emphasize that, it's if you're getting some of the same aspects, it doesn't mean they'll affect you in the same way because they'll be in different houses and all kinds of things like that. So, don't go, oh my God, that's a horrible aspect coming up. But his is piling up in all kinds of ways. So
yep.
we don't want to go on any further, do we? We can do
No,
that
I don't
another
think so. And
time.
we could, but we won't.
Nope.
We put you guys through enough. We don't like talking about him.
No, we do not. And as usual, these are crazy times. Do your self-care. Check out my series workshop if you are remotely interested. It's going to be really good. But otherwise, I won't be. I'm traveling next week, and I leave Wednesday morning, so I can't even bring it forward a day. So
Yeah, we do try to adjust.
yeah, but Kathy might do something on her own if things have come up in the news.
That's true. It's
I'll be
always
off.
possible.
Yeah, I'll be off seeing bands as usual. That's my
Sounds
self care.
good. Dance for
So
all of us.
yeah, I will. See everybody.
Bye.